I am Sarah. I am an emotional intelligence coach and also a breathwork facilitator. Breathwork that I facilitate is different than breathwork in yoga class. So whenever I say I'm a breathwork facilitator, it's usually what people think is, oh, yoga. Yeah, I've done some breathwork. The breathwork that we're going to do is different than that breath. It's a more intense breath. So it's actually called RESET Breathwork. That's what I'm trained in, is the RESET Breathwork method. So I'm going to pop the meaning of RESET Breathwork in the chat so you guys can see it. And then I'll talk about each letter a little bit, and then we'll get into more of my story. The R stands for recalibrate your nervous system. So our nervous systems are the things that send us into that state of either fight or flight, which I'm going to do my best to speak to your guys' experiences. I've never been married, but my parents are divorced. And so I know that through separation, through divorce, there's usually a lot of nervous system responses, such as going into a state of fight or flight. Like maybe your ex or your partner or a lawyer or somebody texts you something that sets you off and you're just like triggered and activated and you're upset. That's when your nervous system goes into a state of fight or flight. You can usually connect that with like anxiety or stress or overwhelm. So our nervous system tends to either go into fight or flight, or it goes into a state called freeze or fawn. So freeze is like there's a lot of emotion happening in your life. There's anxiety, there's stress, there's overwhelm, there's fear, there's doubt, there's worry, there's loneliness. And your nervous system could shut down and go into a state of freeze. So freeze looks like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to get out of bed. I just want to sit here and watch Netflix and eat food. And I just want to numb and avoid. Or your nervous system can go into something called fawn, which if there's any people pleasers here, this is usually probably where your nervous system goes. And it's not that your nervous system goes to just one of these. There's a very good chance that your nervous system has probably experienced all of these. So fawning is, let me just people please. Let me just do what's best for everybody else so that I can avoid all those icky emotions that usually come with these challenges in life. So when it comes to breath work, recalibrating your guilty as charged. Yeah, I'm sure everybody can resonate with all of that. I know that I can. So when it comes to recalibrating your nervous system, what breath work does, and I'm actually going to share a podcast with you guys at the end of this, a podcast episode. I have my own podcast, and my mentors who trained me in the RESET Breathwork method came on, and one of my mentors is a doctor. And so he's really big into the science underneath breathwork, which is super cool. I'm not really a sciencey person, but if you guys want the science, or if you want to learn more about what breathwork's actually doing to your body as you breathe, that episode is for you. So breathwork can actually recalibrate your nervous system and shift your nervous system so that it makes it easier for you to deal with the stressors that happen in life. So maybe a lot of your stressors come from the separation that you're going through or that you experienced in the past. Maybe they come from work. Maybe they come from your relationship to yourself or something else. Recalibrating your nervous system is so important because I know for a fact you all have the power to face these challenges in life from a more calm, centered, peaceful state. So breath work can help you recalibrate your nervous system so that when you do get a text from your ex that typically would set you off and make you spiral and make you go into fight or flight or freeze, you'll be able to take those words, sit with them, process them in your system first from a calm place, and then respond from that loving place instead of from the ego, which is what typically happens. So that's the R. E is elevate your vibration. So the more you do breath work, the better you're going to feel. That's pretty much what that one means. You guys all know what it feels to feel like you're in a low vibe or like a bad mood, right? You just feel kind of crappy. Maybe you feel anxious. Maybe you feel stressed. The more you do breath work, the better you're going to feel on an everyday basis when you get out of bed, before you go to bed at night, and in between. The S is somatically release stored emotion. Now, this one is huge, like really, really, really big, because when we experience any kind of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, fear, any of those lower vibrating emotions, when we experience any of that in life, and or when we experience any form of trauma. Now, trauma it can be a heavy word in our society today, but trauma is just anything that is happening too fast, too soon, or anything that we're not fully prepared for. So for example, if you're going through a big separation or a divorce, it's creating trauma in the body. Now that trauma and all of the emotion, if you don't know how to process it in a healthy way, process it and release it from your body, it gets stuck in your body. So I'm sure that all of you, and I would love to hear a little bit of your guys' experience. Like, is there an emotion that you've struggled with for a long time? Like maybe you experience anxiety, and no matter what you do, the anxiety comes back over and over and over and over again. Or maybe it's stress, or maybe it's overwhelm, or maybe it's self-doubt. Are there any sensations that you guys have? And if you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's okay too. But I want to know if there's any sensations that you guys experience, maybe every day or maybe very often, that you haven't learned how to overcome yet and process. If you can think of any, drop them in the chat. So what I was saying is that these emotions, they get stored in the body. And if we don't process them and release them, they keep coming back over and over and over and over again. Not sure if you guys have ever heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score. Really good one to check out if you're curious of this. But these emotions, they get, and traumas get stuck in the body, and they just make these heavy emotions way more likely in our life, and they make them more challenging to flow through. So breath work, and you're going to actually be able to feel this and experience it today when we breathe. Breath work accesses the depths of your body. It pulls out any stuck emotion or stuck trauma from any point in your life. Maybe it's childhood, maybe it's teenage years, maybe it's an emotion or a trauma from last week. Breathwork has the power to unlock those emotions from the body and release them. So that's the S, sorry. The next E is expand your consciousness. So once again, this one is more of a felt sense. As you breathe, as you do more breath work, you are going to be able to learn more about yourself in life than you ever have. You're going to have a lot of aha and wake up moments. And then T, transform into your most authentic self. Breathwork really helps you unlearn everything you've been taught and instead learn who you truly are. Now, not sure how big you guys are into spirituality. Maybe you've never ever dove in before. If so, that's okay. Basically, what I'm saying there is that from a young age, we're taught who we're supposed to be. You're supposed to be this way. You're supposed to look this way in order to be loved, in order to be worthy, in order to be accepted. You're supposed to act this way. You're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to do this for a career in order to be worthy. Those are all learned things that create a lot of disconnect with ourselves, because a lot of the things that we learn and we're taught growing up aren't the truth of who our souls actually are. So with breathwork really helps you unlearn and shift limiting beliefs that were put on you, and therefore connect to your truth. So that's the gist of the RESET Breathwork method. So with my story, I just want to share a little bit of that before we go into, I have like another example to share with you guys that I feel like will be really aligning for some of you. But when I ran into breathwork, I was experiencing chronic anxiety. So if any of you are business owners, you know that there's a lot of anxiety that comes with that. Anxiety is just really hanging out in the future. A lot of anxiety is created because we're either A, living in the future, or B, we're scared of the future. We're scared of the unknown. So once upon a time, I dealt with anxiety on and off in college. And this is going to go into my next point, but just some backstory. The way that I coped with anxiety was through food. So if I would feel sensations of anxiety, stress, anything similar, I would turn to food. So I'd numb that anxiety with food, which would work temporarily. Like it definitely did. I would eat the food. And while I was eating whatever it was, whether it was a tub of ice cream or a bag of granola or whatever it was, I would be temporarily distracting myself from the anxiety I was experiencing. But when you distract, numb, or avoid, so some people do it with food, some do it with alcohol, with wine, with weed, with cigarettes, with gambling, whatever the vice is, with Netflix. That's also a thing that I distracted with. I was an avid Netflix binger. And so every time I would numb, suppress, or avoid that anxiety, it would get trapped into my body and it would build there and build there and build there and build there. Therefore, the anxiety kept coming back over and over and over again, which eventually resulted in chronic anxiety. So when I say chronic anxiety, I mean I would wake up and feel anxious right away. And so I discovered breath work maybe about a year into the chronic anxiety that I was experiencing. And long story short, breath work completely healed the chronic anxiety. Completely. Like once I started doing meditative breath work, which I'm going to teach you guys in a second, about once a week, I started noticing that the anxiety wasn't there anymore when I woke up. And to this day, that is true. Not saying I never experienced sensations of anxiety. I definitely do. However, I don't wake up with it anymore. I don't feel it all day, every day. And now when I experience anxiety, I have a tool in my back pocket, breath work, and I have a couple other tools, of course, as well, that help me flow through it and process it in a healthy way. So for me, breath work helped me heal chronic anxiety, and therefore it helped me overcome binge and emotional eating. So like I said, a lot of the times when we experience any kind of sensation, whether it's sadness, loneliness, overwhelm, anxiety, stress, fear, doubt, worry, any of that, a lot of the times our innate reaction is to get rid of it. The human minds are always just trying to keep us surviving. So when we experience some emotion that feels icky in the body, the human mind goes on alert mode. And it's like, oh no, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling XYZ, you better get rid of this. And this is also a little bit of a limiting belief too. I feel like we're taught from a young age that the goal in life is to always be happy. So when you feel some type of way that's icky, the mind is like, you better get rid of this. So innately, usually the only way we know how to do that is through turning to a vice. And these vices are typically destructive to our overall health and well-being, but they temporarily soothe. So through breath work, I was able to overcome the binge and emotional eating, overcome the binging on Netflix. A part of this too, not only was breath work helping me release these trapped emotions and process my emotions and heal them in a healthier way, but it was also, once again, it connects you to your authentic highest self. And my highest self, of course, my highest self loves a good Netflix show here and there and loves a cupcake here and there. My background is in food and body coaching. So I'm very much so like, we need to eat the cupcake once in a while and like watch the show like that. There's nothing wrong with those things, but my highest self doesn't feel the need to eat the entire carton of ice cream or binge Netflix for days on end like I used to. So breathwork has really helped me with both of those. And to this day, though I don't deal with the chronic anxiety anymore, I still do breathwork because it connects me to my highest self, which some of you, even though we're going to do a shorter session today, some of you might experience that already just from your first session. So that's just like a little tiny preview into the power of breathwork. But like I said, I'm going to share a podcast episode with you guys at the end of this if you want to learn more. We talk about a lot of other benefits in there, rewiring of neural pathways, healing trauma and wounding we took on from our parents. So many good things that come from breathwork. But one story I want to share with you guys today that's very recent comes from somebody very close to me. And she said that I could share the story. So it's my mom. She's never been into anything like this. She's never done breath work. Like she's brand new to this whole realm. And she went through a divorce with my dad probably like 8 years ago. And since then, of course, she's dated. And I don't know where you guys are at. Maybe you're dating, maybe you're remarried, maybe you're not anywhere near that. Either way, I'm sure you're either maybe can relate to this a little bit, or maybe you will eventually. So she has a boyfriend and they've been together for a couple of years, and her boyfriend has 2 kids. So he has a 25-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son. And it was a dynamic where the daughter was kind of threatened by my mom coming into the picture. And, you know, it's like her dad. And it's like, this is my dad and like, not yours. Like he's mine, not yours. So it was kind of like this weird relationship between my mom, and my mom tried her best to like really be nice to her boyfriend's daughter and include her in things and whatnot. But still there was a lot of tension and resentment that's built up over the past 3 years, just from little digs that the daughter's made at my mom and just ways that her boyfriend has dealt with it. Just a lot of resistance and resentment there, to the point where whenever she was around, my mom was fully triggered and activated, like on edge, like angry. You know, that's all we heard my mom complain about for the past 3 years is like this situation. And you guys, I swear, I'm like still shocked from this, but 2 weeks ago, my mom came to a breathwork session of mine for her very first time. And the theme was on acceptance and accepting things that are out of our control. And so she did the whole thing. She journaled, she did the whole breathwork session. And she calls me 2 days later and she's like, I think you hypnotized me. And I'm like, I didn't hypnotize you. You hypnotized the child. She's like, I swear to God, like this is the first time I've been around my boyfriend and his daughter since your breathwork session. And I felt no activation in my system, none, no trigger, no anger, no upset. And this was 2 weeks ago now. And ever since that time, that breathwork session of hers 2 weeks ago, she has had nothing but love and compassion for his daughter, for the relationship they have together. Last night, it was her idea to like take both of them to a play. Like she just feels so light and so free. And that's chalked up. And the mind in you might be like, what? How can one breathwork session do that? It's because this stuff is like super healing. You are your own healer. And that's what I'm here to empower everyone to realize and believe. So, and my mom asked me, she's like, is it going to be like this forever? And I'm like, no, like it's your experience. What matters right now is that you're feeling so calm and peaceful around the situation that you felt so much hate and resentment toward the last 3 years. That's a beautiful thing. Like, let's ride that wave. And then if there comes a point again where you start to be triggered, let's go into another breathwork session. And of course, like none of this excuses actions of other people or anything like that. But as maybe some of you realize right now, when it comes to the shame and the hatred and the resentment that we feel toward other people, letting go of that does not make what they're doing okay, but it totally frees us, which makes life feel so much more peaceful. Is this all resonating? For those of you I can see on video, give me a shake, thumbs up, something. Cool. If you want to drop in the chat box how you're feeling about all of this, you may too. So we're going to move into a little bit of breath work. Are you guys ready to try some breathing? Cool. So I'm going to actually teach you. I went back and forth with what pattern I was going to teach you today, and I'm just going to go with the 3-part breath, which is that reset breathwork method. We're just not going to do a full session today. At the end, if you guys are okay with it, I will share some opportunities for you to hop into one of my full sessions. But for now, we're just going to do a mini session, but I guarantee you, especially if this is your first time with the 3-part breath, you're going to start to feel something shifting. This breath can be done because we're breathing for less than 10 minutes. This breath can be done sitting up. So you can sit in your chair if it has a back on it. But I do recommend that when we start breathing, you guys lie down. It's just a lot easier for people to lie down and just to be centered and to breathe, but you absolutely can stay sitting up. So the 3-part breath is done through the mouth. So when we go there, I'm going to have you guys open your mouth nice and wide, and then you're going to relax your jaw. So it's a 3-part breath, all done through the mouth. And actually, I'll have you guys practice this a little bit with me. So I'm going to turn the camera so that you can see my body. So this breath, so go ahead and put one hand on your belly. Let's all do this right now. One hand on your belly, and then put one hand on your chest. You're going to open your mouth, and you're going to breathe your breath into your belly, breathe it into your chest, and let it go through the mouth. Belly, chest, let it go. Belly, chest, let it go. Keep it going. Belly, chest, let it go. Couple more. Belly, chest, let it go. Belly, chest, let it go. I have a comment. I'm getting dizzy. Super normal. Like we just did maybe 8 of those breaths. It's very common, which we're going to talk about that next. It is common to get dizzy. Just know that you won't pass out. You literally won't. As long as you keep breathing, you won't pass out. You will have an anxiety attack. It's scientifically impossible for that to happen. But the getting dizzy can sometimes, I am warm now. Yay. Oh, yay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go into things you can feel during this breathwork session. One of them is temperature change. So you can get super hot or super cold, which is so interesting, Layla, that you're feeling that right now, because when you're getting hot or cold, what's happening is you're reaching the hypothalamus gland, which is very deep in your brain. And what that symbolizes is deep brain activation, which is great, because if you listen to that podcast episode later, you'll realize that through the breath, we can actually shift neural pathways to believe whatever we want to believe. So hotness, coolness, super common. Once again, remember, we are releasing stuck and trapped emotion. So you guys all know what emotion feels like. When you release emotion that's been stuck for maybe years and years and years, you're going to feel it coming out. You're going to feel it coming to surface. So getting hot, getting cold, very common. Feeling that dizziness, lightheadedness, tingling, numbness. It's almost guaranteed if you breathe that breath fully that you're going to feel that today. Once again, that's just trapped emotion releasing from your system. So if you feel that, it's actually a really good sign. But if you don't feel that, that's okay too. Cramping is very common. Even though we won't be doing the breath for very long, getting lobster claws in the medical world, it's called tetany. So your hands cramping like this or your lips cramping like this are super common as well. So if this is happening, it's for one of two reasons. Either A, you're blowing out too much CO2. So the first thing I suggest if you feel that cramping is focusing more on your inhales. So just deeper breaths in to the belly, to the chest, and letting it go. So focusing on the inhales is super helpful. Another thing that it could be is when the energy is in the emotions are coming up from your body and when they're trying to release, sometimes they come out through the extremities, which is the lips and the hands. So another way to allow them to actually fully release is to do a little bit of an audible sigh. So if you're at home alone, it can sound like this. Just a way for that emotion to release. And that actually might feel good to you, even if you're not realizing the cramping. I personally, that's how I usually breathe with that audible exhale. It can feel very, very nourishing. So those things are all very common. And it's really common for the mind in you to try to tell you to stop, to try to tell you, stop doing this. This is dangerous. It's just, once again, the mind's way of trying to keep you safe. This breath is completely safe for you to do. Jody says, getting emotional, like crying. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I typically see the crying, the sobbing, the screaming. I usually see that in the full breathwork sessions. However, I definitely have had some people who are like, dang, in the first couple minutes, I was already in tears. Once again, that's just another way of your body processing and releasing emotion. So if you do have emotion come up, please just let it come up. Like, your body knows what you need. You are your own healer. And if it's showing you that, like, clearly that's what your body needs today. Another thing to expect during our session is mantras. So you don't have to say these, but I highly recommend doing it. It usually adds a lot of goodness to the experience. So what that will sound like is, I'll say to you, and there'll only be a couple in the session, but I'll say, on the count of 3, say it with me. I am enough. 1, 2, 3. And we'll all say, I am enough. Remember, all of you are muted. Nobody's going to hear you but you. So there's reasoning behind those mantras, but I'm just going to let you guys experience it. You can say them normally. You can yell them. Some of my clients like to throw their arms up and be like, yeah, I'm enough. So obviously when you say the mantra, you'll be taking a break from the breath. So after the mantra, just go ahead and pick up that 3-part breath again. I will be guiding you through the whole thing. So know that I'm going to be right here reminding you to breathe. It can be very common for the mind in you to be like, let's stop this. Let's stop the breathing. I'm going to be continuing to remind you to keep that 3-part breath going. And know that, you guys, at the end of the day, even though we're not doing many minutes, you guys are only going to be breathing for a couple of songs. But at the end of the day, if it gets way too scary, you are in full control of your body and your experience. So if it gets to a point where you're like not today, and your body's like, F no, we're not doing this, seal the lips, return to nostril breathing, calm down. And if you feel called to, pick up that 3-part breath again. Same with the cramping. Like, some of my clients are like, I love the cramping. It's a sign that I'm doing this thing. Like, I'm going to keep the cramping. Some keep it through the whole thing. But I've also had people get really afraid of it. And if that happens, just once again, seal the lips, return to nostril breathing, and you'll calm down again. And just know that no matter what happens in this next 8 minutes, everything's going to go back to normal at the end. You might feel a little lighter. You might feel a little bit more optimistic. Things might look lighter, brighter in the room. You might feel a little bit more freed, but sensation wise, eventually the cramping will go away very quickly. The tingling will come and you'll go back to normal. So give me a thumbs up or give me a yes, actually, in the chat box. I'd like to hear from all of you. Give me a yes if this all makes sense and if you're ready to breathe. Amanda, yes. Jody, yes. Yes. Yay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple of minutes to get in your breathing position. Like I said, if you want to stay sitting up and stay in your chair, as long as it has like a back on it and you have some support, that's fine. But if you are able to lie down, I highly recommend lying down. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. Let's do this thing. So go ahead and get settled into your space. We're just going to start with a light, gentle meditation. So if it feels comfortable for you, you can close the eyes. So go ahead, close your eyes, and just begin to melt into your space. Bring your awareness to the breath, not shifting or changing it yet. Just simply beginning to observe how your breath is today. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Are you breathing into your chest? Are you breathing into your belly? Just begin to simply observe, not shifting or changing, just letting it be. With every inhale, soften your body. With every exhale, allow your body to melt into your space, to become heavy wherever you're at. Feel the support of whatever you're sitting or lying on. Pay attention to where your body meets the surface. Feel the support of whatever is beneath you, of the floor that's underneath that. Feel the support of the walls around you, the ceiling above you. Feel the support from the earth, the mass of earth that's holding all of us in this moment. Now begin to observe your thoughts, observe your mind. If you were able to just watch your mind right now, to watch the thoughts passing through, what might they look like? What might they sound like? Maybe they're thoughts of curiosity. Maybe they're thoughts of your to-do list today. Maybe you're thinking about a nasty text that was sent your way last night or last week. Maybe your thoughts are in curiosity for what's about to happen. Just begin to observe them. Once again, not shifting or changing anything, just letting them be. And then maybe you can invite in some calmness to the mind. Maybe you visualize a radio dial on your brain. See your hand reaching into your head, turning down the volume on the mind, so that the mind softens. Maybe the thoughts don't stop, but maybe they can quiet down. And as they do, drop back into your body and begin to observe what's active for you today. What emotions or sensations are you experiencing in your body here and now? Are you feeling tightness, contraction, stress, anxiety? If so, where do you feel it? In your chest, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your hips, in your belly? Do you feel it in your throat? Or maybe you're feeling sensations of expansion, of contentness, of peace. If so, where do you feel that? Just begin to observe what sensations are active for you today. Just observing what's here. Good. And in a moment, we're going to move into the 3-part breath. So if you have a pillow under your head, go ahead and remove it. With this 3-part breath, we want our neck in line with our spine. So if you're sitting, maybe you sit up straight. We want a clear place for that breath to flow. So as you're lying down flat, go ahead and bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. Hold yourself here for a moment. Now open your mouth nice and wide. Relax your jaw. And let's begin that 3-part breath. Into the belly, into the chest, let it go. Belly, chest, let it go. Belly, chest, let it go. Keep it going. You got this. 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. Moving at your own pace. If you want to slow down the breath, you may. Belly, chest, let it go. Two breaths in, 1 breath out. Focusing more on depth than pace. You are safe to breathe. You are safe to be in your body. You got this. Fully in, fully out. Know that the first couple minutes of breath work are always the hardest. They're always the most challenging, but as long as you stay devoted to that 3-part breath throughout the first song, eventually your body will take over and do the work for you. So even though this may feel hard right now, see if you can keep going. Belly, chest, let it go. On the count of 3, I want you to say with me, it is safe for me to be in my body. 1, 2, 3. It is safe for me to be in my body. Good. Pick up the breath. Belly, chest, let it go. Even if you're disconnected from your body on an everyday basis, you have the power to come back home to it. To the only home that you'll ever have. You are safe to be here. You are safe to explore. You're not going to get stuck, but rather you're going to breathe through anything that's holding you back in your body. Keep it going. 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. I know you all have done so many harder things than lie on the floor and breathe. You got this. Good, Amanda. Keep it going. You got it, Jody. Belly, chest, let it go. You're so safe to breathe, Sparky. You got this. You are safe to feel anything that's coming up for you right now. Maybe you're feeling emotion. Maybe you're feeling different sensations. You're safe to feel it all. You're safe to feel Emily. You're safe to feel Jane. You're so safe to feel Jeremiah. Keep breathing. Belly, chest, let it go. How much more can you feel in this moment? Can you create space within to feel your feels? Knowing that our souls dropped into these human bodies to feel it all. The highs, the lows, the in-betweens. On the count of 3, I want you to say with me, it is safe for me to feel. 1, 2, 3. It is safe for me to feel. Yes, Rod, so safe for you to feel. Keep breathing. There you go, Heather. There you go, Layla. Keep the breath flowing. You're all doing so great. Keep it going. We're moving into our final song, you guys. You got this. You might feel like you're hyperventilating. You're not. You might feel so much resistance to being in your body that you think you can't take another breath. You can. Last song, can you give it your all? Can you breathe maybe just 2% deeper on this next song? Belly, chest, let it go. Know that as you breathe, as you release the resistance, as you release the stuck emotion, as you release the limiting beliefs, you are going to level up into the highest, best version of you. Can you connect with the highest, best you in this moment through the breath? If your body wants to shake, maybe you shake out your arms, maybe you shake out your shoulders, maybe you shake out your legs, maybe you let out some audible sighs. Give your body what it needs to feel, to process, to move through the stuck energy. Shaking it out. Keep the breath going. On the count of 3, I want you to say with me, I am unfolding. 1, 2, 3. I am unfolding. Feel the truth. You are unfolding with every breath you take. Keep it going. 2 breaths in, 1 breath out. You guys are almost through. This is the home stretch. As you breathe, soften your body, soften the tension. Allow the breath to flow like a river in your system. Beautiful, you guys. Let go of the 3-part breath. Let it go. Seal the lips. Return to nostril breathing. Slow down the breath. And just take these next few moments to be in your experience, to be with your body and with whatever you created for yourself today. Surrender. Good. And when you're ready, you can slowly begin to come back. Keeping your eyes closed, just invite in some small movements to the body, maybe wiggling your fingers, your toes, giving your body any movements that it's craving right now. Maybe you pull the breath into the belly, again, taking a couple of deep breaths. Just start to invite in some small movements, taking your time. And when you're ready, if you're lying down, go ahead and roll over onto one side of your body, coming into a fetal position, using your shoulder as a pillow for your head. Just hold yourself here in this moment. If you're sitting up, maybe you bring your hands to your heart. And just send yourself some love, some appreciation, some gratitude for showing up today, for trying something new, for maybe going somewhere that you were scared to go before. Send yourself love and gratitude for being here in this space, for waking up today, for working on yourself to become a better person, not only for you and your life, but for your loved ones and for the rest of the world. Thank yourself. Maybe you tell yourself out loud, thank you. I appreciate you. And when you're ready, trying to keep your eyes closed as you do so. If you're in a laying down position, slowly press yourself up to a seat. Once again, taking your time, knowing that if you're feeling a little lightheaded, dizzy, that's okay. That's very normal. Just come up to a seat, bring your hands to your heart if they're not already there. Keep your eyes closed, stay in the experience. Let's take a collective breath together, in through the nose, fill up the body. Exhale, audible sigh out through the mouth. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Maybe you look around your room. through eyes of curiosity, of wonder. Maybe everything looks brighter. Maybe you notice something new. And when you're ready, you can slowly, in your own time, make your way back onto the call. Maybe popping back on video, or maybe you just pop in the chat how you're feeling. Maybe you share a word with how you're feeling now or what came up for you. If anybody wants to take themselves off of mute and share your experience. Breathing made me very lightheaded and a lot of neck tension. Yeah, that's very, very common to be lightheaded during this. And the neck tension is definitely, that must be where you carry stuck emotion. Any emotion that's suppressed or voided, it must be in your neck for you. So the fact that you felt the tension just means that things were moving through you. Really cold, one big shiver toward the end, had neck tension too. Beautiful, great observations. Face was tingly, tears flowed. Yes, emotion flowing out of your body. Beautiful. Sometimes my entire body goes completely numb. Well, thank you all so much for doing that with me. Does anybody want to share their experience off of mute or ask any questions?
I'll share mine. It's Jody. I went through all different kinds of stuff. So I got really warm, and then I got very numb, and then I got really cold, and then I had only out of my left eye, but just a tear streaming down of my eye. So it was just I felt like my body was doing all kinds of stuff. And now I'm warm again. Now I'm a flush of heat has washed over me again. So it was everywhere.
So beautiful. And you guys, whatever you experienced today is exactly what you needed. And Jody, that's just very clear that there was so much stuck shit moving out of your body, out through you, in all the different ways. And, whether you can identify those emotions or not, it doesn't really matter. That's the cool thing about breathwork is it's different. Meditation, if you sit in meditation, your thoughts are just going. It helps to be intentional about that sacred space. But with breath work, even if you were thinking during the whole time, even if you don't know what happened, something shifted. I see somebody that says dizzy during the first song, full panic attack during second, crying, nose tingling, cold by the third song, calm down and warm. I honor you for continuing to breathe through all of that. That's so beautiful. I remember the first time I ever did breath work, I was moving and cringing, and it's weird to come back to our bodies. A lot of the times we have a disconnection to our body, especially when there's a lot of chaos happening in our lives. Feeling emotional now and hearing Heather's message. Relax. Head was tingly. It was amazing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Well, thank you all for trying this, for breathing with me. Like I said, breathwork is very healing. And for some of you, this was your first time ever. So it might've been what did I just do? But
I wanted to share something really quickly because my dog, when I lay down and I started getting relaxed, and first I wasn't so relaxed, right? Because you're getting into it and it's you're overthinking. Right.
Totally.
And he came up on top of me and just laid there and all my stomach was breathing with me. It was the sweet, and I did not a peep, not a thing.
Oh my God. That's me. Animals are, I love it. Oh, animals are very,
he enjoyed it too.
Yeah. They're very intuitive. Actually, in my full breathwork sessions, I usually tell people make sure you're in a space where your animals can't reach you because they will find you. They are very intuitive and they can feel what you're feeling. And they're so connected to the breath. It's bizarre. It blows my mind. Everyone always says that about cats, dogs, animals in general. So yeah, you guys, thank you so much. If you have any other questions or anything that happens, sometimes the breakthroughs come after the breathwork session. And maybe you don't have breakthrough at all this time. For your first time, it's mostly what is this breathwork stuff? How do I even breathe this way? If you've experienced a lot of anxiety in life, it might just be hard in general for you to breathe into the belly. So that can take some practice. But I will give you guys all my email and is there an email that goes out after these calls, Layla? Should I drop this in the chat or should we email
it all in the chat? We're going to send it out. We're going to put it out to everybody anyway. You're going to go into our newsletter. next week.
Perfect.
So people can get all your details as well.
So I'm going to give you guys my email here. If you have any questions, if anything comes up for you, I'm also very active on Instagram, Sarah Jean Harken. But if you want to continue to explore breathwork with me, I actually have a membership. It's for you guys. I'm going to give you 2 weeks free because I do live meditative breathwork sessions, like full breathwork sessions. So it'll be a bit different than this one here. They're always very intentional. They always have a theme. We do a full session. I do them twice a month in the membership live. And then you always get the recording. So we have one on November 1st coming up. So if you do the free week trial or 2 week trial, you'll just be able to try that without any commitment. We have one on November 1st, and then we have one on November 18th. So those are coming up. And with that membership, you also get other breathwork practices that are 15 minutes or less. So my membership, the intention of it is just to be a library full of breathwork sessions and meditations that are less than 15 minutes. They range from 8 to 15 minutes. So that if you wake up one day and you don't have time to do a full breathwork session, or if you're going throughout your day, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling overwhelmed, doing a quick little breathwork session can really get you back into alignment. So you can explore that library. You can come to these live sessions, and there actually are already recorded live meditative sessions in the portal. So if you wanted to try a full breathwork session this weekend, you could. Live is awesome. And the recordings, I get compliments and breakthroughs and all the things on the recordings as well. So I will drop this link in the chat. So like I said, you'll get 2 free weeks. And then after that, it's $33 a month. But if you try the 2 free weeks and you don't like it, no strings attached. You can always drop. So there's that. And then if you guys want to learn more about what the hell just happened to you, I am going to drop this podcast into the chat as well. You guys can listen to that. That's just our website link, but you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Spotify. It goes into more of like the science as to what happens during breath work. So you guys are all so welcome. Thank you so much for showing up for yourselves. Take care of yourself today. Do some grounding, go walk on the earth, drink water, nourish your body, and let me know if you have any questions at all. Thank you guys so much for having me. I loved being here.
Thank you, Sarah. That was phenomenal, honestly. What a great way to start a weekend.